church attack. Ahead of Osho governorship election, massive defections hit People's Democratic Party. And from the foreign scene, as investigations to unravel United States mass shooting continue, police response under scrutiny. Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us on the news at 7. I am Obi Chukwemeka Oti. Ondo State Governor Arakunrin Oluwarotimi Akeredolu SAN has approved the appointment of 18 education secretaries across the 18 local government areas of the state to promote educational administration at the grassroots. The appointment takes effect from June 23, 2022. The new education secretaries are Akoko Northeast, Adejoro, Sunday at Ganiyu, Ose, Chief Jema Konjola Oredola, Ondo West, Matthew Bada, among others. In a statement by Governor Akeredolu's Chief Press Secretary Richard Olatunde, the appointment is part of the efforts of the present administration to improve the education sector in the state for optimum performance. The governor congratulates the new appointees while charging them to see the new positions as a challenge to work for the development of the state. Ondo State Government has constituted a 5-man committee on judicious and transparent management of donor funds to victims and families of the Owo Church attack. The chairman of the committee and Ondo State Commissioner for Finance, Mr. Wale Akintanewa, who addressed newsmen in Akure, the state capital, said the council has also approved the opening of an account with the Providence Bank to manage the funds. Government House correspondent Wahab Bankole has details.
The dust raised by the recent terror attack in Owo is yet to settle even after those who lost their lives have been laid to rest. The State Executive Council has taken some decisions towards alleviating the pains of the victims and their families. Briefing Government House reporters in Akure after the weekly council meeting, presided over by Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, 3 members of the council, led by the Commissioner for Finance, Mr. Wale Akintanewa, gave an insight into the decisions aimed at giving comfort and succor to the victims and their families. They said the council acknowledged and appreciated the prompt response of Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu on the unfortunate incident by setting up and coordinating the State Emergency Response Team, led by the Commissioner for Earth, Dr. Banji Ajaka, at providing succor to the families.
The Council also advised that further contributions and offers of support to the victims and family members should be channeled through the Catholic Diocese of Ondo or the state government to ensure proper accountability and transparency.
The Finance Commissioner noted that the state government has opened a website, www.owomemorial.com, where interested members of the public can obtain authentic information on the attack. He said a 5-man committee had been set up to manage funds contributed to the victims of our attack. The committee has the Commissioner for Finance, Mr. Wale Akintanewa, as chairman, while the Commissioner for Earth, Dr. Banji Ajaka, Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Dr. Bumi Oshadahun, the Special Advisor on Union Matters and Special Duties, Mr. Dare Aragbaye, and the Parish Priest of St. Francis Catholic Church, Owaluwa, are members. On the issue of establishment of state police in Nigeria to address the worsening security across the country, the council reiterated the need for amendment of the relevant constitutional provisions and laws towards ensuring that lives and property of the people are fully secured. Mr. Akintanewa said the council also frowned at what it considered to be inappropriate collection of multiple fees at the Akure airport and subsequently set up a committee headed by the Deputy Governor, Lucky Ayedatiwa, to liaise with the management of the airport authority.
Also, the council frowned at what it considered to be the inappropriate collection of multiple fees at the Akure airport, and it has set up a committee headed by the Deputy Governor to engage the management teams of the airport in order to correct the anomaly. Council also approved that the Governor should, as a matter of urgency, issue an executive order mandating all places of worship, event centers, shopping malls, hotels, and other public places where significant number of people gather to install functional closed-circuit television equipment and provide adequate private security personnel within and around their premises.
Other members of the committee are Secretary to Government, Princess Oladuni Odu, and Secretary of ONDIPA to engage the management of the airport in order to correct the abnormality.
That report was presented by Kunle Ario. Ondo State Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has charged the board of the Odua Investment Company Limited to strive towards repositioning the firm for the economic prosperity of the Southwest region. The chairman of Southern Governors Forum, who threw the challenge at the 40th annual general meeting of the company in Lagos, said the conglomerate must strive for well-being of Ondo State and its people through life-changing projects, especially in agriculture. Akeredolu asked the company to support the development agenda for Western Nigeria Dawn Commission towards promoting efficient service delivery and praised the board under the immediate past leadership for fulfilling their tenure.
Most functional federalism that we are on, that's what it is. It is out of 6 states in our marriage hospital. You don't want to one. So how many percent the lady was? For state, we should have 90, that comes to have 10. That's how it's supposed to be. But it's alright, we'll take it. I hope I think that is another way. Let's see what we can do. Let's see, because there's money in gas. I'm not too sure there's so much money now in oil.
The governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, his Ekiti counterpart represented by his deputy, BC Egbeyemi, as well as representative of Oyo State Governor, acknowledged the company for expanding its frontiers. The new chairman of the board is Mr. Bimbo Ashiru. Election analysis in the last 3 years in Nigeria indicates a steady decline in the enthusiasm of average voter to exercise his or her franchise. Going by the voter turnout in Ondo and Anambra State between 2020 and 2021, and most recent, the Ekiti State governorship poll, the impression of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, leaves much to be desired. This consistent voter apathy raises concern, and there is fear that if not addressed, the nation's participatory democracy may be in danger. Omerola Ogbenje seeks opinions of political analysts on causes and solutions.
In comparison to the 2018 gubernatorial election in Ekiti State, voters turnout in 2022 election dropped by 17.8%. Only 360,753 people out of the total 988,923 registered voters came out to exercise their franchise. The situation was not different in Anambra State, as the 2021 governorship election saw an all-time low voters turnout of 10% compared to the previous election in the state. In Ondo State, the turnout for 2016 governorship election was higher than that of 2020. Election reports in developed nations show that electorates always look forward to election periods to choose leaders they believe can lead and deliver according to their demands. This mindset is believed to have contributed immensely to their success stories, as their elected leaders are answerable to citizens. In Nigeria, in spite of various electoral reforms, the gains of participatory democracy recorded immediately after the end of military rule seems to be fading out as citizens continue to show little or no interest in the process of choosing their leaders. Data from the books of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is a confirmation of eligible voters' seeming loss of interest in elections. How did we get here?
Ordinarily, I'm sure INEC will have prepared a lot of documents in hundreds of thousands with the hope that at least a state of close to 4 million, probably that printed ballot papers in millions. and yet less than 1 million people voted. So all those things now are wasted.
People don't come out to vote any longer because people already lost faith in the process, in the democratic process of this country. So everybody just felt there's no point. Most of the time it's just like you wasting your precious time, queuing in the sun for hours, and at the end of the day somebody come from nowhere, bring money, induce people and get the votes.
A political analyst, Mr. Dayo Adedeji, said voters' turnout will continue to fall if practical steps are not taken to address apathy among electorates.
The level of political consciousness of the citizenry. Nigeria has a story or a long list of what is wrong with our system, but only a tiny few has a solution to the problem. We in political science will say non-voters contribute to an unpopular government.
Mr. Dayo Omotoyinbo and Alex Adeniyi, who spoke on the implications, maintained that the trend is a threat to the sustenance of good governance.
We need to sit back. We don't really need people to beg us. We know by the time we come out en masse, it will even be very easy for us to nip in the mud the skeletal people that buys and sell votes. If we, the elitists, can come out and other frontline enlightened people can come out during voting and speak against vote buying, people will be ashamed to sell their vote.
What is the way forward now that the country is preparing for the 2023 general elections? It is clear that one cannot be repeating the same thing and be expecting different results. Hence, the need for leaders and concerned institutions to change their strategies in making Nigerians' votes count. Omoriola Humbiji, OSRC News.
Still talking politics, the People's Democratic Party PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has set up a committee to pacify and woo the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike and some other aggrieved members of the party. The initiative was instituted by Atiku based on the need to go into the 2023 general elections with a united front. The opposition party has been rocked by crisis following the choice of the Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa as Atiku's running mate. Wike, Okowa and Governor Udom Emmanuel of Akwa Ibom State had appeared before the screening panel set up by the PDP to nominate a vice presidential candidate to the People's Democratic Party's presidential flag bearer. In the meantime, over 500 supporters of the People's Democratic Party from Borikpe local government area of Osun State have defected to the All Progressives Congress APC. The defectors were received into the APC at a campaign rally in the hometown of Osun State Governor Adegboyega Adetola. A statement by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Ismail Omipidon, said the defectors attributed their defection to the convincing manner Oyetola had been managing the affairs of the state. Chief Imam of Akure Kingdom, Sheikh Abdul Hakim Yahya Akurede, has felicitated Prince Ademola Adegoroye on his nomination as a Minister of Federal Republic of Nigeria by President Muhammadu Buhari. The Chief Imam Akurede, in a statement, described Prince Ademola Adegoroye as a responsible politician and a round peg in a round hole. The Chief Imam, who thanked President Buhari for appointing a grassroots politician like Adegoroye, expressed optimism that the former lawmaker will perform well. Meanwhile, the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, has warned men of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Edo State Command, to shun acts capable of working against the federal government's efforts to ensuring that Nigerians could procure international passports with ease. He said the ministry under his watch would not hesitate to deal with officials of the service engaged in any illegal dealings, noting that the President Muhammadu Buhari was desirous of improving service delivery in the country. Now to crime-related stories. The President Muhammadu Buhari has accused a secessionist group, the Indigenous Peoples of Biafra (IPOB), of vandalizing oil pipeline and other infrastructure. Buhari, who stated this in an interview with newsmen, said although his administration last year began moves to remove fuel subsidy, it discovered that the moves were not tenable. Reacting, IPOB Media and Publicity Secretary Emma Powerful, in an interview, dismissed the president's allegation that the group was vandalizing pipelines, describing the claim as laughable. Ondo State Police Command has paraded 4 suspected cult members allegedly terrorizing a Fosu community in Idonre local government area of the state. They were among 14 suspects paraded before journalists in Akure by the police. Omoriola Ugbenji quoted the State Commissioner of Police, Oyediran Oyeyemi, as saying the suspects will be charged to court for proper prosecution soon.
I stole this generator. It's poverty that caused it.
Mr. Babajide Moses is among the suspects paraded by the police in Akure. He was arrested in Ilesha in Osun State after the command discovered that the Lister generators loaded by a bus was stolen, and they followed him until he was apprehended.
This is my first time of facing much problem like this, and I think this will teach me a great lesson.
According to him, he was on his way to sell the machines to his prospective buyer. Also, some suspected cultists who are teenagers were apprehended after a series of complaints of their attacks by community people. A suspected 22-year-old armed robber, Tosin Omoniyi, was also trying to rape a married woman at Sidori. Luck, however, ran against him as victim's husband overpowered him through the help of neighbors. The suspect, who was arrested alongside his mother for accomplice, is also expected to be charged to court for prosecution.
One day, I entered one house. The man, I didn't meet him in the house. I didn't meet anybody in the house. Come out Block Gary, just entered the one room like this, in wife rooms. I see the money, carry the money. So as I carry the money, the second day, I go meet my mother. My mother, I want to buy machine. I didn't tell my mother I said I thief money. So I want to buy machine. So me follow me go there. My mother follow me go there. Buy the machine.
The State Commissioner of Police, Oyediran Oyeyemi, through the Command Public Relations Officer, Fumilayo Odunlami, promised to charge the suspects to court for adequate action. He enjoined parents to be alive to their responsibilities and train their children in a proper way for the peace of society.
Investigation has been concluded and they will be charged to court. However, we want to talk to our parents at home. We have a lot to do. There is a place of training your children and monitoring their activities. It's quite unfortunate that kids who are less than 18 are involved in cultism. And in the same vein, generally, we all need to be careful because one of the suspects who specializes in stealing of generator plant happens to be an elderly person, which is not expected to be so.
Among items recovered from the suspects are 2 Lister generators, motorbikes, and a plasma television. Omoriola Hungbiji, OSRC News.
In the same vein, the Commissioner of Police Federal Capital Territory Command, Babaji Sunday, alongside a representative of the State Security Service, had appealed to over 150 chairmen of commercial motorcyclist units and associations across Abuja not to be involved in jungle justice. In a press statement by the Deputy Police Public Relations Officer, Omotayo Deniyi, the CP charged the commercial motorcyclists to turn a new leaf and work in synergy with the police to fish out the bad eggs among them. He warned that henceforth anyone found culpable will be dealt with according to the laws of the land. Fuel scarcity worsened in Lagos, the Federal Capital Territory, and other parts of the country, resulting in motorists spending hours at filling stations. We'll bring you details of that story after this break. Join us again. Thank you for rejoining us. You can watch us live on our website, www.osrc.ng, or follow us on Facebook, OSRC TV Ondo, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel, OSRC TV Ondo. Fuel scarcity worsened in Lagos, the Federal Capital Territory, and other parts of the country, resulting in motorists spending hours at filling stations. For oil marketers, the solution to the worsening fuel queues across the country is for the federal government to approve an increase in the pump price of the commodity. Although some marketers had already raised the price of fuel in their outlets, they admitted that the move had not been approved by the federal government, noting that dealers could be sanctioned for selling above the regulated rate. The federal government says the ongoing strike by the Academic Staff Union of Universities will soon be called off. This was as he said there are no plans to establish an alternative payment platform for all the labor unions in tertiary institutions. Minister of Labor and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, disclosed this while briefing journalists at the end of the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari at the Council chambers of the Presidential Villa, Abuja. Ngige assured Nigerians that efforts were underway to resolve the ongoing dispute, largely fueled by payment platforms. Meanwhile, the Joint Action Committee of the Senior Staff Association of Nigeria Universities, SANU, and the Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Allied Institutions has extended its ongoing strike by 2 months. This was made known in a statement by the National President, SANU, Mr. Mohammed Ibrahim, and General Secretary, Mr. Peter Adeyemi. According to the statement, government is still a long way from effectively resolving the issues in contention. A 26-year-old final year student of Federal University of Ekiti State, Oluwafemi Adeola, has lost his life in an unfortunate circumstance in Akure, the Ondo State capital. Ademola, who is also a mobile technician, was said to have died on Tuesday when his vehicle rammed into building materials parked on the road after closing for the day. OSRC's Zaid Aribisala reports that residents decry reckless offloading of building materials along the roads.
Emotion-laden residents and passers-by gathered on the street of Odokoyi in Akure, Ondo State capital, lamenting the death of a young man on Tuesday evening. The deceased, according to friends and colleagues, is 26-year-old Oluwafemi Adeola, a final year student of the Federal University of Ekiti, who, not for the ASU logjam, the lad would have been in the school.
This is a great loss to us because this guy is the one that has access to China order, some high C from China that can use to repair power bank and some certain things. And he's a highly intelligent guy. The guy will be graduated this year.
More painful to the sympathizers was the cause of his death by innocently ramming into building materials indiscriminately parked like heaps of refuse on the road.
Next thing on you have a single bóyá àsọkó bóyá máa sáré kì dẹ̀ mọtí kì í mú sìgá kì í ṣọmọ ní ìrìnkúrìn wá níbi tó ń lọ and before gan tó délé ó ti pé dáàdì mò ń bọ̀ within 10 minutes pé dáàdì ti ń expect so bàtàn ti rí ni wọ́n ti pé náà pé kí n kọ débi kí n wò pé àṣé òótọ́ ni ìbámu adé mo wá rí bàtà mo rí kí ni ikú mẹ́ṣín.
While Adeola could not live to tell the story of the fatal accident, Busayo Olorunshola was lucky to escape death from a similar accident, though with injuries at the same spot few days before this latest incident.
Park bí kíní kan síbí mo ṣe rọ́ọ̀lù kíní yẹn nìyẹn bí mo ṣe wúndù ní àtẹ̀mí àtẹni tí mo gbé àtẹ̀mí gbogbo wa bí gbogbo wa ṣe wúndù nìyẹn.
Some residents of the area lamented that several calls to compel the developer to remove the materials from the road remain unheeded. They want government officials to intervene before the site becomes a death trap.
Negligence of people. I don't know how people just put this garnet here, making life people to lose their life, causing damages in the body system of people. I don't know. So I don't know what government can do to help us.
ní ọ̀nà Ìjàrẹ́ ni mo fi lọ Kwari tó ọ̀nà Ìjàrẹ́ yẹn mo ti gbàbẹ̀ láàárọ̀ gbàgbà tó wá dọ̀wọ́ alẹ́ èmi mọ̀ kan ti já òkúta yẹn sórí títì yẹn the next thing pé òkúta yẹn mo kàn tiẹ̀ mú òkúta yẹn gùn ni mo kàn somersault ṣùgbọ́n kò sí block ńbẹ̀ mo kàn somersault jáde ni the next thing pé òjò náà rọ̀ òbélé náà ni ní alẹ́ before after 9 the next thing pé kò dẹ̀ sí ẹ̀pù tó lè ẹ̀pù ńbẹ̀.
first time tí wọ́n já síbi ibẹ̀ èmi ń bọ̀ bí mo ti ń bọ̀ láti àdúgbò mi the dá ti débi ibẹ̀ yẹn àyà mi là gàràrà kò dẹ̀ sí wé bọ́ ọ̀kadà bá ń bọ̀ tí mọ́tò gan bá tún bọ̀ ní ibi bí tí ọ̀kadà náà ń bọ̀ báyìí the next thing ni kò kọlù àjàjálẹ̀ kíní ó dangerous gidigidi bó ti wà yẹn àìmọye ọ̀kadà tó ti kán lẹ́sẹ̀ ń bibẹ̀ àìmọye àwọn tó jẹ́ pọ́n accident ń bibẹ̀ and then.
Dropping sand and granite on the main road where people are passing by is very bad to the people. Maybe I don't know what our government is going to do about this. So many places they will drop sand and stone everywhere, block the road. So I don't know the reason why all this been happened to this our state.
Ondo State Police Public Relations Officer Funmilayo Odunlami has assured that the command would probe the incident.
The MTD session of the police have been there to see for themselves what really transpired at the scene.
Worried residents said indiscriminate offloading of building materials on most major roads in Akure, the Ondo State capital, shows insensitivity on the part of developers who care less of the fatal consequences of their actions, just like the grim fate that befell this young man. Sahid Aribisala, OSRC News.
The Executive Secretary of the Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, Mrs. Titilola Viva Adeniyi, has said that the culture of impunity under the societal influence of patriarchy is hugely responsible for the spate of sexual violence in the country. Speaking in a chat with newsmen, Viva Adeniyi noted that sexual violence would greatly reduce if perpetrators were duly reported to authorities and consequently held accountable. According to her, every member of the society is a mandated reporter tasked with the social responsibility of speaking up against any act that threatens social order, and survivors of sexual violence need to be believed. Moving on to the foreign scene, Bangladesh has sent troops to help millions of people trapped by flood in the northeast. It is the worst flooding in the region in more than a century. The government is struggling to deliver food and drinking water. And that's it on the news tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at the major stories. We told you that Governor Akeredolu has appointed 18 education secretaries to entrench grassroots educational administration. We also told you that Ondo State government has named a 5-member committee to manage donations for victims of Owo church attack. And ahead of Osun governorship election, massive defections have hit People's Democratic Party. And that's the news tonight. Thank you so much for your time. Good evening.